Welcome back. In recent months, Foreign Affairs Minister and Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell has been openly critical of the Central Bank of the Bahamas and its quest towards a cashless and check-free society, describing it as a fool's errand. Well, last week, Minister Mitchell and the many Bahamians who support his position got a small victory after the Central Bank of the Bahamas said, based on wide stakeholder feedback obtained by its steering committee, they have decided to adjust the deadline for the elimination of checks from December 2024 to sometime in 2026. On Monday, Minister Mitchell expressed his pleasure with this announcement.
I see where the central bank says that they will put on hold the idea of abolishing checks until a couple of years later, and they need to give us more time, they say, to adjust to the abolition of checks. The businessman Ethric Bowe said it correctly in the press in the Tribune when he said they should end this fool's errand, period, and simply put in place a digital platform to process checks. Once again, it is a foolish idea to abolish checks. The central bank should employ its time properly regulating the poor services to consumers in the Bahamas by banks rather than investing time on that and the so-called cashless society. You know, I remember when I was a student, my grandaunt, whenever I left her in New York, she would put a tightly folded $20 bill in my hand. And when students come to me today, or if I'm visiting a place like the Kemp Road Festival on Saturday, I would give random people a note or two in their hand to enjoy the fair. Left to the central bank, all of this would stop. Cashless, foolishness. They need to move on.
Minister Mitchell said he gets floods of emails and voice notes every day about the banking sector and its demands that the Bahamas becomes a cashless society, despite the Prime Minister and other ministers, including himself, who have said repeatedly and made a claim that they do not agree with a cashless society where physical money, such as cash and coins, are not accepted for financial transactions, but rather all transactions are digital in an effort to modernize payment systems to provide users with a safe and secure access to digital payments. Minister Mitchell also pointed out in August that based on the Central Bank Act, moving to a cashless society is almost certainly unlawful, since Bahamian currency is supposed to be good for all lawful debts. He said the public is entitled to ask the question when it comes to this matter, if the tail, the central bank, is wagging the dog, the government. Police are also vigorously searching for a male suspect believed to be responsible for robbing a business establishment shortly after 1 a.m. on Tuesday in the Farrington Road area. According to initial reports, a lone male wearing a mask entered the establishment brandishing a firearm and robbed the proprietor of an undisclosed amount of cash and personal effects before fleeing in a dark-colored Jeep Cherokee, making good his escape. Anyone with information regarding this matter is asked to contact the Criminal Investigations Department. Again, that number 502-9991. You can also call 911 or 919. And finally, Arawak Homes Limited has sponsored Arawak Homes employee and triple jumper Kaiwan Culmer to the tune of $250,000 as he prepares for the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. President of Arawak Homes, Franan Wilson, tells the story of Culmer coming in his office 4 weeks ago with a resignation letter in hand with the decision of quitting his job as a site supervisor to follow his dream, his Olympic dream. Mr. Wilson says he could not let that happen and offered to sponsor Culmer during his preparation for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games.
So you're not resigning right now. You're still a part of the company. And if whenever you're training and someone says, hey, what are you doing or what do you do after this? You will be in a position to answer that question. Not a case of, as it gets closer and closer to the time you really need to be at your focus 100%, you may start thinking about what happens after the fact. And so as a result, we don't want that to be a factor in when you are trying to do your best to represent the country. And so as I mentioned before, this was a complete team effort to get to this point. So I want to thank everyone in our construction department thus far, and everyone in our construction department who, in Kwan's absence, and as he does his best to represent our country, is going to do even more when he's gone. But that's a commitment that our company has made, and not just a company level, but the people in this department to support him in his initiative.
Mr. Culmer says his willingness to quit his job to represent the country is a testament to his dedication to the country and his love for track and field. He thanks Arawak Homes Limited and everyone who has supported him so far.
I'm here trying to figure out how I'm going to afford to pay for my housing, paid for coaching fee, paid for proper nutrition, paid for health insurance, paid for treatment on my body, paid for traveling, paid for all these things. And I'm thinking I'm faced with this, and just to know that I have the support, the support in itself. It's just like overwhelming. I just thank God. I just thank God for getting ahead of me and doing what He did. We prayed just now that, I'm going to make it, but I have the faith. I have the faith that I'm going to do what I have to do in each and every way. I'm going to push my body to the next level in order to make this team, in order to go there and not just compete, but pursue a medal, go after a medal.
President of the Bahamas Association of Athletic Associations, Jamaica Archer, applauds Arawak Homes for not only investing in the athletes, but also having a sense of compassion for its employees.
It's also a story about a company like Arawak Homes, one of the largest developers in this country, who has taken on not only an employee, but in the face of the greatest sacrifice anyone could possibly make by setting aside his professional ambitions for a company, and for a company to recognize how profound that sacrifice is, and for people to appreciate the depth of that sacrifice, to set aside one's capacity to make money, all for the glory of track and field and for the glory of our country. It was probably one of the most heart-wrenching experiences for me when this year, all year long, he and I talked about making the World Championships team. And sadly, he didn't make that team. But it's a testament to the perseverance and the tenacity of someone who says, I will soldier on.
Mr. Archer hopes that more companies will follow in the footsteps of Arawak Homes and come forward to help Bahamian athletes. Culmer will head to Florida State University in Tallahassee, where he will train with Bahamian triple jump legend turned coach Levan Superman Sands. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jcn Saunders. It was a pleasure to have you join us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.